everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection. I'm your host, Dr. Kathy, and this week I'm really excited because we have one of our former board members, a fabulous chiropractor, a great friend, and a great advocate for our profession, Dr. Cheryl Langley. Hi, Doc.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself today?
Fantastic.
Near perfect, as we say.
Near perfect. I love it. So tell us where you're coming from.
I'm coming from Marietta, the East Cobb portion of Marietta. I've been here since I graduated in 1987 from Life Chiropractic College. And I'm one of those things they call a damn Yankee. I came here from New Jersey and to go to school, to go to the best school, Life University, and never left.
The Mecca, the state of the Mecca of chiropractic.
That's right.
I'm a damn Yankee too, right? I came from Long Island. I left, and somehow the South just sucked me back in, right?
It does that.
When I first moved here, I have to tell you this because as soon as you said that, I had a neighbor across the street, and I said, well, I moved to Marietta to go to school, and he said, well, that's funny. You say it like it has an A in it. And I was spelling it out in my head, and he said mayorette. And I had to learn that first day, like there are Southern words that are pronounced a lot differently. Yes. So fantastic. So you've been in practice a long time?
Long time, starting my 36th year.
Fantastic. Touching spines, changing lives. So tell us, what does it take really to be successful? Because anybody can be a flash in the pan. Right. But what does it take to be successful over the long haul? I'm thinking of Cher, right? I'm thinking of people who in entertainment business have had those long careers, Jane Fonda. But it's easy to start something, make a big splash and burn out quickly and then jump into a different realm or, convert it into like, let me charge other chiropractors because I'm not running my practice anymore. What does it take to actually be that chiropractor that stays in business and coaches and helps other people too, but continues to put your hands on patients?
That's a great question. And I think that for me, it started with a really good foundation. I don't feel like this was something that I chose to do. I feel like I was called to do it. I think that number one off the bat makes a huge difference between someone who's looking for a job or a career and someone who's been called to this or had an experience with it and now decides to do something with it. And for me, I didn't really have a chiropractic quote experience. I met a chiropractor who explained what he did and it made perfect sense to me. So I'm like, okay, I should get checked. And I did get checked and it changed my life. And 2 years later, I quit my job and went to work in his office. And 2 years after that, I came to Marietta to be a doctor. And so it was a calling. And I think another great piece of this, another piece that keeps not only me going, but a lot of people are who your mentors are, who you're hanging out with. Because I had great mentors that really grounded me. And so that I remember my first mentor, Dr. Bruce Merritt, used to say, you get to the point where you know that you know that you know that you know, and at first I didn't know what he was talking about. But then as I developed myself and years into practice, now I know what he's talking about. That there's nothing that can take you off of your purpose. There's nothing that can take you off of your purpose, your mission, and what you're doing, as long as you know that you know that you know, and you keep getting up in the morning and doing it. The other piece I think that helps for longevity, because there's going to be times where you're going to get burned out and you're going to feel like, why am I doing this? And that's your commitment, not just to yourself, but to people, to mankind, because what you have is that special something that nobody else does. And there's so many sick and dying people out there that if it gets you off of me, and woe is me, and puts you into, how can I serve more? How can I help more people? And that's what gets me up in the morning, is, just doing what we do and seeing the results in people and knowing and having people like, running into people like you were just talking about that say their life was changed by a chiropractor.
Right.
And how can you not get excited about that?
Right.
So
Yeah.
for longevity. And, there are pitfalls and there are things, I mean, we all get into disasters and things happen and things blow up and you shift and you move and you pivot. But when your purpose is solid, that's what keeps you going for 35, 40 years. I haven't met many chiropractors that have not been doing this until the day they either retire or pass away. Now that's just who I hang out with, like you, I mean, we're going to
surround yourself with good people.
Yes. You just surround yourself with good people. You stay in connection. You have these groups where you can talk things out. If you get in trouble or you're worried that something is not going right, you have people to talk to. You have support and you figure it out, because we know it's not just about helping people with chiropractic. It's also about running a business, running a practice, hiring employees, and all those other things that go along with it that we'd rather not, but we do because we're business owners.
Part of it.
Right.
And that's a big part of it that I think a lot of the students underestimate, how much of a percentage of their time is actually devoted to the growth and development of the business versus how much of their percentage of time is adjusting.
Right.
Right. And I know we'd all love to spend the entire time in the office just adjusting. Right. Mm-hmm. That would be great. But there's paperwork, or there's documentation, or there's exams, or there's marketing, or there's staff meetings, there's so much more that goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of all that, we get to do the most amazing thing, which is to deliver that adjustment.
Right. Exactly. I couldn't have said it better.
So I'm thinking about the immeasurable amount of people whose lives have been positively changed because of you as a doctor, because of you as a leader, because of you as a mentor, because of you as a coach, because of you in your day-to-day activities of what you've done for the last 40 years, from being a CA to being a student to being a doctor. And I'm reminded of the apple, right? If we cut an apple, every time you cut an apple, there's 5 seeds in it. Every time you cut another apple, there's going to be 5 seeds. But how many apples are in those seeds if we were to plant them? And that, I look at people like you and my good friend Sharon and doctors who've been in practice for a long time, doctors on our board, doctors who've been serving different boards and different organizations for decades. And I say, how many lives have been changed because of them? The ripple effect. Like, how many students did you send to school who then went out and started practices and affected patients who then became chiropractors? Like, that's that exponential ripple effect that I'm so grateful for, people like you and people like Dennis Cerrone and people like Sharon and people who continually send people to school, continually impact their communities, and continually have a positive impact on the profession itself.
Right. It's and you never know. Like BJ says, you never know how far reaching something you think, say, or do today is going to affect the lives of millions tomorrow. And by the way, and BJ and Dee Dee,
they're hanging out in your office.
They look over my shoulder every day to make sure I'm doing it right. And they're my mentors. And Dr. Sid, he's in my office too. I don't know if you can see that. There he is right there.
Yes.
With my little sign underneath that says no excuses.
No excuses.
Right.
That's awesome.
These are just my little things that I resonate to, because that's my little power corner right here. And when I need to think, I come in here and shut the door and try to process stuff, But, I don't know how many people I've had people come up to me and say, you spoke to my assembly when I was in 4th quarter, and it was my last day. I had officially told myself I was quitting. I couldn't do this anymore. It was too hard. It was too much money. I didn't have the money. And I want you to know that the day you spoke at assembly, you changed me. You changed my life. I finished. I'm practicing. I have a successful practice in Pennsylvania, whatever, and that to me, I get goosebumps just thinking about it, because that to me is like, you never know. You never know who's in your audience. You never know what seed you're dropping there, and if that's going to take root and grow. And that's the rewarding part too.
It is. There's that saying, we're planting seeds for trees under whose shade we'll never sit.
And,
right. And that's what we're doing every time you give a life altering adjustment. You may never know the story. If a patient never comes back in, a newborn baby gets adjusted one time, you never see them again. Right. You don't know the path their life took, but you know that it's forever changed in a positive direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Yep. Do you have a patient story, like one of those amazing stories that you just love to share that could inspire the docs who are watching right now? Because right now there's a lot of people on their lunch break. They're watching here in Georgia. They might be watching this in other states, and they're about to go back in and see some patients. And maybe they need to borrow some of your passion. Maybe they need to borrow some of your enthusiasm. Maybe they need to borrow one of your stories to inspire them to go serve their patients on a higher capacity.
Absolutely. I have millions of those stories, as you can probably imagine. So do you. But I'll tell you one. And this one is, she's particularly endearing to me because when it's about a kid who's an adult now. And when she started, she was 7 years old when she came into my office with her mom. And she was a very, very sick child. She was had serious epilepsy, lots of episodes every day. And she had been diagnosed as being mentally, developmentally, and socially retarded. She was on pages of different doctors, specialists, medications, things like that. But when I talked to her mom about when all this started, it started when her mom was in labor with her. And you and I know, and everybody hopefully listening to this call know what the pubic symphysis is, right? So when she was in active labor, her pubic symphysis fractured. Pardon me. And so what they did is they put mom under general anesthesia. They took her out, the baby out with forceps. Pardon me. And she had her first seizure in the hospital at 11 hours old. So by the time she came in to see me, she's 7 years old at this point. That's why her mom, and I know you've had these too. Her mom came in with a binder notebook with page after page of medications, specialists, hospitals, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, and you already know what I'm going to say when I checked her spine. C1, C2, counter rotation from the forceps delivery. So we started adjusting. Oh, by the way, when she came in, she was still wetting the bed every night, and she was still drinking out of a bottle at 7, and heavily medicated. So the first thing that happened, and just I'll fast forward here, is within 2 weeks of being adjusted, her bedwetting stopped. Within 2.5 months, she had to go back to school to get tested. She was in special ed. It was the summertime. And she went back to school and tested out of special ed and into a regular classroom. So we know she's not mentally retarded. Yeah. 6 months under care. She auditioned for the school play and got the lead in the Christmas play, Rudolph. And so we know she's not socially retarded. She's starting to interact with kids. Yeah. She's still having seizures, but they're becoming less and less frequent and less intense. And she's still on her medication, by the way. And so somewhere around 9 months, her mom asked me if we could get her off of these medications. And I know you get those questions too. Can we get our kids off these medications? Right. And I told her what we tell everybody is that as chiropractors, we don't put people on meds. We don't take them off. So you need to go talk to your neurologist, and I'm happy to work with him or her. And she did. And the neurologist was actually pretty nasty and said, if you take her off, don't come back. I won't treat her. So she didn't go back. She went and found another neurologist, who was like intrigued at like, what's happening here? So we continued doing what we were doing. I adjusted C1 and C2 only for probably the first year. About 2 years under care, she was off all her medication, no more seizures. So let me give you some fast forward. Oh, by the way, they did one of the docs got a hold of her mom and said, she's got to be seizing at night. You're just not seeing it. You know how they are, right? Once it's epileptic. Anyway, so Anne bought into it and put Rocky into the north side for a 48-hour sleep study. And you know what they do? They give them strobe lights and video games and the whole bit to induce a seizure. And after 48 hours, her study came back 0 seizure activity. So we had a party for her in the offices years ago. So now, let me tell you what happened. She's all grown up now, obviously. And she graduated from Pebblebrook High School on the principal's list, high honors. She graduated from Columbia summa cum laude.
Wow.
This is a kid who, just before her mom brought her into me, one of the docs recommended that she put her into a group home. Thank God she said no, and she got married, and she has 2 beautiful little boys. And even though every time she got adjusted, I'd be bending over her and saying, "You're going to be a chiropractor. You're going to come and work with me." Right? Don't we all do that? Brainwash those kids. You're going to be a chiropractor, right? She became a special ed teacher, which is very appropriate for her. And she's also 7th in the world professional woman compound bow archer. 7th in the world.
Wow.
Pretty amazing, right?
Pretty amazing, because that is finesse, that's precision, that's focus, that's all the things that someone with a seizure problem can't do.
Exactly.
Wow.
She's just a phenomenal young woman. And, one of the things that I think about is when I think of her and I think of all the other people out there that may be similar or like that, who's going to tell them? Who is going to tell them? Right. So that's why we do what we do. We shout it out from the mountaintops and tell everybody we can that'll listen. Pretty much.
Wow. Because that life right there, which has impacted so many other lives, would have had such a different outcome, not only for that child, but for her parents, right? Such a different outcome without chiropractic.
Absolutely.
Or had they listened to that neurologist and been scared and said, forget the chiropractic, we'll keep her on the drugs.
And how many people are doing that right now? They just don't know. And what's interesting is this is not a back pain case. This is not a neck pain case. This is a kid. And when people say, and I'll share this story with my patients and say, when they ask about or they see my pictures on the wall and they're like, what are you doing to those babies? Or something. What, those kids are, yes. Why are they getting adjusted? This is why, why are they getting checked? And that's why.
You just inspired me that I think my office needs a little bit of a refresh, a little bit of an overhaul, right? It needs to brighten it up, change the colors, maybe get a little bit of paint in here. I don't know. Think about it. But I never put pictures on the wall.
Well, I will show. If you have a second, I'll take my phone up to the front and I'll show you.
Show us, because you know what? You just inspired me to start doing that in my office just by this one little phone call. And I'm thinking of all the pictures of all the babies that have been adjusted over the years and the little kids and the ones that my kids are holding the babies. And we never post those pictures on the walls. And I bet it would look beautiful. Let's see what you did.
Well, hang on. Let me see if I can do it. Okay. So can you see that?
Yes.
All right. Let me get a little closer. These are all, and this is a fraction of what I have in 3-inch notebooks. I have 6 3-inch notebooks full of these pictures. If you look here, I'm adjusting that baby right there. That's one baby. One of these is in there. Most of them are in the hospital. And then we teach our kids.
I love it. Oh, I love
it. Can you see all these?
Oh, I can. We can. Love it.
And then this one right here. I don't know if you can see him.
Look at that face.
He's adjusting. So, we have stuff around for the kids too, like everybody does, like the adjusting bear and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, what the first thing you see when you walk in the office is you're going to see that poster with all those kids. So it's a message that says babies get adjusted,
Right.
So anyway,
I love that. I always say that we need to make sure that we have outlet covers on our outlets, because for new moms and moms of crawling and toddlers, they see that right away and they go, oh, this is a safe place. This is a place where my kids are welcome. Right. Versus I have to hold my child the whole time, because if I put them down, they might stick something in an outlet. Even my playroom, we make sure there's only the big Legos. There's nothing small, because we want parents to know this is a safe place. We already considered all the options of what could go wrong, and we're making sure that your kids are safe. We did learn somewhere along the line not to have markers and crayons where kids could reach, because we did get the whole office decorated one day. But you know what? When patients see that, when they walk in the door, it lets them know, even if they don't have kids, hey, something different's going on here.
Right. Right. Yeah. Just like our kid adjusting table, which is a school bus, by the way, which belonged to Dr. Larry Webster, who was one of my mentors.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He was a great friend of mine. And when he passed away, you know, his wife called me and said, hey, this is in his storage unit. Would you like it? I'm like, absolutely.
Yes.
So, it's got good energy, good juju.
Right. Absolutely. As does your whole office, as I could see just by that quick little tour through. So thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
And listen, I want to thank you for coming on today, because you are always an inspiration. You always have the most positive stories, the most positive energy. I just love being around you, because I just want to vibrate with your vibrant, right? Like I just want to be in your frequency.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know, you're local, and we do have our Cinco de Chiro coming up in May.
Okay.
So maybe we could twist your arm into coming down and sharing a few stories with us. All right, Cheryl, if we lost you, oh, there you are. So maybe we could twist your arm, get you to come down and share a few stories with us for Cinco de Chiro. It's coming up that first Saturday in May. It's going to be in Woodstock. Check your calendar. Let us know. We'll be happy to have you there.
I'll be there right after the Taste of East Cobb, because we have that big event all day on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
May 6th.
That's a big one. Is that just Saturday, or is it Friday, Saturday? I want to speak
just Saturday. It's just Saturday. Okay.
Maybe I'll come over in the morning, as long as my house is ready for Cinco de Chiro in the afternoon, because I want to come have the taste of Marietta. It's fun.
You know, margaritas, right?
Absolutely. The margaritas will be flowing as always. Yep. I'll make sure I got one for you right next to mine.
Good.
All right. So listen, thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you that are watching, you know that we do this every Wednesday. We have a good conversation with a great doc to hopefully inspire you, empower you, give you some, positive energy, or give you some great stories to go back and serve your patients. But we also get together. The GCC loves to do philosophy events. We love to do social events. So we've got our Cinco de Chiro coming up first Saturday in May. We've got our cornhole tournament coming up in June at Dr. Dan Tu's office. Of course, we've got our continuing ed events, July, August, September, October, November, and December. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we have our golf tournament coming up. Check out all of our events. All that information is on our website at georgiachiropractic.org. So Dr. Cheryl, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Kathy. It's been great.
My pleasure. And thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, everybody.